keep getting messages and emails from folks out there who have watched the 3-bead herringbone rope and the 2-bead herringbone rope videos asking how you add a clasp. So I'm going to do a video on how you add a clasp to these two ropes. There will be a separate video for each one. On this video, we're going to concentrate on the 3-bead herringbone rope and how you add a clasp. Let me bring you down to the beads and I'll show you what I'm talking about. If you have not seen it already, these are two variations of the 3-bead herringbone rope. And I will pop a link up in the eye, up in the corner there, to the original video showing you how to make the actual rope. In this video, we're going to concentrate on how you attach a clasp to a rope like this. This one is done with size 11 seed beads. This one is done with size 8 seed beads. So you can see kind of what a scale difference it makes. So you want to take into account the fact that this is a very dainty rope when you're picking what type of clasp you want to add to it. For instance, this happens to be a maglock clasp. That would work really nicely. The scale is is good. There, it's not grossly oversized. I also have a couple of really small toggle clasps in my web store at jillwisemandesigns.com that would not overpower this dainty rope. This is also another option. This is a ball and hitch clasp. I love these clasps. This happens to be the 8mm size. They also come in a 6mm size. So if you're wanting to match up to a size 11 seed bead version of this rope, the 6mm is probably going to be better. In this case, with the size 8 seed beads, I would use that 8mm, just because I think that matches up pretty nicely scale-wise. In this particular case, I am actually going to go ahead and show you how to attach the magnetic clasp just for fun, okay? Now, normally if you're attaching a clasp, especially on a rope, there are usually 2 points, attachment points directly across from each other that you would attach it. In this case, we've got 3 attachment points. I could just do a loop from here to here and put that clasp in there, but it would be just slightly off center, and I'm just persnickety enough that would bother me. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and on any rope that divides out to being 3 beads, and it would be an odd number basically if your rope has an odd number of beads on the end. I do what I call the tripod attachment, and that means I'm going to have a leg come from each one of these little beads on the end to a center point, at which point I will add a little loop to attach the clasp. So here's exactly what I'm talking about. I'm going to use size 11 seed beads. I'm going to pick up 2 size 11s. These beads are really irregular. They actually happen to be the gold-plated seed beads, and for whatever reason they're really irregular. So anyway, 2 beads. I'm going to pick up a size 8 bead to be that center point of my tripod. Then I'm going to pick up another 2 beads. I'm going to then pass through the hole in my clasp. Whoops. There we go. I'm going to pick up 2 more beads. This is funny because these seed beads are gold-plated. They're kind of trying to stick to the magnet. Pick up 2 more beads. Then I'm going to go through that center bead that is going to be the apex of our triangle. Okay, so there's one leg that was coming out of this bead right there. So now let's pick up 2 more. Go down through the next bead in that end. Okay, so this is how you could attach it if you didn't care whether this last bead was involved. But in this case, I'm going to show you how to go ahead and involve that bead and make this a tripod. So I'm going to go down a couple of beads into that column, Now I'm going to come up the next column, and this will be the column that does not have any of the clasp beads attached to it. So now we're going to pick up 2 more for the 3rd leg of this tripod and pass through that center bead. And now look, now it is completely perfectly centered on the end. You've got attachment beads coming out of all 3 of those points on the end. And we're just going to reinforce. So we're passing through the beads above that center point, across the clasp, down the beads of that center point, and then at this point you're just going to reinforce these legs as best you can and kind of keep track as best you can of which ones you've reinforced and which ones you haven't. The ones that you have will probably be a little tighter to your beadwork. It's not a huge deal because the place that I'm most concerned about attachment is where the clasp is. So, but my rule of thumb is that I want at least 3 rounds of thread through that attachment. So this is going to be our 3rd. As we go up, across, down. It's a little bit trickier doing this with a magnetic clasp because your needle wants to attach to it. And I can tell just by kind of feeling and looking at them that these are the 2 ones that I just used, where this one is a little bit looser. And so I'm going to go down that leg of the tripod, and then you can go down into this column here, and then you're just going to end off your thread. And then that clasp is completely attached and centered. That's why I like to use the tripod attachment when I have 3 obvious points to attach. Keeps everything nice and centered, keeps my brain happy because things aren't lopsided. I hope that helps you finish off your 3-bead herringbone ropes, because I can't wait to see a bunch more of the ropes that you guys make. Make sure you show me on Facebook at Jill Wiseman Designs Beaders. In that group is where we all hang out and show each other what we've been doing. Happy beading!